promised, coming back here with another video. I got cleaned up a little more professional, and I'm trying to do this in the light of day. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I want to go back, and in this spirit of kind of relaunching our YouTube channel and doing it the right way, I want to redo a video. And it was one of the videos that we did at first, and it was, called That One Kid, I believe was the title. And the idea was really from the heart. And it's that realizing that every single kid that walks in your door has a story and a purpose, and that kid needs to matter, and they need to know that they matter. But here was the plan. I got cute with it. I wanted to play a little marketing game of let's do it, let's kind of leave it on a cliffhanger, let's get some buzz going, some interest, keep wanting more, keep coming back, and just do this whole series and try to, strike up this kind of conversation. And, and a lot of you sent me emails and comments and called me on it. One, because you're, in talking about the way that, you leave it, there can be a perception of kind of almost like a guilt on student pastors. And I appreciate that. I want to continue that, those kinds of conversations, and I want you to hold us accountable. But the other thing was life happened, unfortunately, and never finished the series or kept it going, which made it even worse. So I want to go back and make it right. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to try and do everything that I'd planned on doing in under 10 minutes to keep that internet video range going. And then I'm going to use our blog.youthministrycloud.com, to kind of go into more detail about different steps. But if at the end of the video you've got some more questions, some specific needs, please let me know in the comments, and we'll keep churning out content. I'll get Jamie to jump in. I've got some other friends that we can get in to come in and talk and help out with some of this stuff, and because I think this principle is going to be important. So the idea is, again, you've got kids coming in your door, whether you're a small ministry or a large one, and a lot of times what happens is we feel good about the core that we have or the number that we've reached. Okay, if you're a larger ministry, we almost get complacent, and we just kind of start going through the motions. I know I've run into this with small groups of students, with adults, ministry as a whole, and so we don't want to fall into that trap. And so we want to continue to be intentional about the fact that every single kid matters that walks through the door, because they'll have a story, they'll have hurt, pains, struggles. They all need the gospel, and some of them haven't heard it yet or received it yet for sure. And they each can have a purpose in Christ that's bigger than anything they could have imagined, and we want them to reach that and attain that. And so that's where we need to go and focus on that, and realize that every single kid that is walking through the door deserves to know that they are connected and a part of that, and that that's a possibility for them. And so that's what I want you to do. Be motivated to that you're never resting, you're never complacent in where you are, but you're always thinking there's another kid that may be walking through the door this week. And I always think about it this way. I know there have been kids that came in my small group, came in our church, that came in once, left, and never came back. And I wonder what happened to them. Did they find another community? I don't know. Did they come to know Christ? I don't know. And I don't want that to happen anymore. So I want you to kind of think about that and almost in a way be blessed with burden. So what do? When we keep that focus of every kid matters, and in order to make a difference in that, the next step is to really focus on relationships. Your ministry needs to be a culture about relationship building. Now, obviously, you can do a lot of that, and you're going to be a part of that. But whether you're small or whether you're, a larger church, you can't be everywhere all the time. You can't do everything. So while you are focusing on relationships, connections, everything from maybe your weekend Bible studies to your midweek services to your events, all needs to be about relationship building, because relationships is what keeps kids coming back. That's what gets them connected. That's what brings them to know Christ, is knowing they're part of that loving community and they have relationships with people who care about them. And more than ever, our kids in this world desperately need that. So you want to focus on that as a ministry culture. And then the other piece with that is leaders. Again, like I was saying, you can't be everywhere all the time, so you need to be investing in leaders who can help to build those relationships with those students, so that kids always know there's an adult in their lives that cares about them. There's a reason to keep coming back, because there's someone who's going to check on them, someone who wants to know them, someone who does know their name, and who can reach out to them and minister to them every single day. Now, when you're thinking about that, you're finding leaders to invest in, again, all the while instilling that culture, pointing out to them that everything you do is about those relationships so that kids can come to know Christ. So it's relationships to bring kids to the gospel. And so you want to think about that all the time. Make that a point in your ministry. So, again, we're thinking about every kid matters. We are saying that we're focused on relationships, and we are building, leaders who are focused on the same thing, who know that our ministry culture is about relationships and connections. Not about the events, not about the candy. That's part of it, okay? But that's not what keeps kids coming back. Now here's the other piece of this. When we talk about culture, you need to know the culture of your community. Now, yes, you want to know kind of the racial and ethnic makeup of your community, because it's a good gauge of how well are you doing at impacting your community. Because if your church doesn't look a lot like your community, as far as the the wide range maybe of cultures, socioeconomic backgrounds, things like that, then you may want to reconsider, are you really reaching your community or just a little part of it? And so that's one piece of it, but also the culture of kids' interests, kids' hurts and struggles. You know, what kids like to do in your area, things like that, because that's going to help you know a good way to build those relationships. Because it's going to be different from different places. And it's great to check out media, social media, and blogs and things like that to kind of get a feel for the heartbeat of teen culture. But it's going to be different from place to place, and so you need to kind of dig deeper. I know I grew up in a small town church. Now I live just east of Dallas, and definitely more in an urban area, and completely different, kind of church and church culture. And so the kids are different. My wife and I often talk about when we go back and I'll speak at D-Now's or do music at a D-Now back home in East Texas or in Arkansas, where I've got some family. And it's so different. It's almost like there's still this innocence in the kids' eyes. Obviously not perfect kids, but it's almost like they're still kids. And a lot of the kids in our ministry, in my small group, have lost that a lot of times for different reasons. And so you just realize there's that difference, and I realize that I have to build relationships with them different when I'm at an event or when I'm here. The conversations are different, the activities are different, the illustrations are different, and so again, it's all about relationships. And in order to do that effectively, you need to know the culture of your community and your students in the community. Great way to do that is just talk to your kids, have open and honest conversations. Say, hey, kind of pull the veil back for me. Let me know, what are we doing? What can we tweak? What can we change? Because some of you are going to have a community that's, I know in a small town, girls and guys were both all very sports driven. And so, we'd love to get together and play sports and do life together kind of that way. I find that a lot of other places, kind of sometimes where we are, kids kind of like to hang out. And so couch is almost like a coffee shop kind of culture works. So a lot of times it's a blend, but you don't know. You're going to be different than us. So just keep that in mind, but get to know the culture. I would say kind of the last thing and the last piece of it is when you start to think about these things, that every kid's going to matter. So I'm going to have a culture of relationships. So I'm going to invest in leaders and let them know that. And then I'm going to know my students as well. And you put the whole piece of the puzzle together, you need to have some intentional strategies where you think about it. A lot of times we're good at intentional strategies on trying to attract kids. But now we need intentional strategies on once they're in our ministry and they show up, what are we doing to keep them here and keep them connected? Just a few thoughts and ideas. And again, it's different depending on your community, your church, your style, your personality. It all changes, but just some ideas. I know we have an adult at the check-in booth, and so that way when every kid comes up, at least they know there's a grown-up, asking them their name while they're, of course, getting their information to get them checked in. But someone's there to check on them. Having adult leaders and student leaders who are committed to say, my job every week isn't to go hang out with people I know, but it's to sit and wait for someone new. And I'm going to be there with them so that they know that they're connected. And I'm going to make sure they're back next week so they still know there's a connection there. I know Jamie's done a great job. He's put together a VIP room, and so after a midweek service, students who bring a friend can get a pass, and then they go there. And it's kind of food, snacks, hang out, all this kind of stuff. And so it's not just a motivation for a kid to bring friends, but it's a place where a new student can kind of get a chance to feel connected and build those relationships. So, there's all sorts of different ways to do it. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it is all about remembering that if we're going to make sure every kid's reached, and that's our goal, it's not going to happen, we're not perfect, but our goal is to shoot for that, then we have to be intentional about it. And so what are you doing to intentionally build relationships with a student in your ministry? Like I said, if you go to the blog.youthministrycloud.com, I'll try to break down some of these things and some other things that we've done, try to share some resources. If you want some more info on specific things, again, put it in the comments, and we'll keep trying to churn out some content. But I do hope that this does help. And again, if nothing else, one takeaway, make sure you're about building relationships with students. That is what's going to keep them coming back. You can have all the candy and games and everything else in the world, but eventually if a student doesn't feel connected, they're going to fall away and go somewhere else, okay? And it's not necessarily to another church. It could be away from the church completely. So keep that in mind and make sure that you're working to intentionally make sure that those connections are happening. Look forward to seeing you soon. Again, subscribe, leave comments if you need to. Check out everything else that we got going on, and have a good one.